Pardon the wrestling, but I'm Bryan, and it is today, July 30th, 2025, and we are reviewing All Elite Wrestling's Dynamite that took place live in Chicago, Illinois from the Aragon Ballroom. If you are joining us live here on YouTube, I definitely appreciate you hanging out with us. If you want to chat, discuss things in the comments, we can bring that up here live as we discuss tonight's episode of Dynamite. Wasn't too bad of a show. We got some things to progress forward. I think we're starting to finally see where we're going in terms of Hangman's story past the Death Riders. But let's just jump right into this week's episode of Dynamite. As noted, it was live from Chicago. It was the third and final Dynamite to be taped inside the Aragon Ballroom. They got one more night in Chicago with Collision tomorrow night, and that's a live edition of Collision. But the show opened up with a video package, and this was hyping up at what I thought at the time was going to be the main event between Jon Moxley and Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. It went over their all-in match, and of course, it discussed their match to be had later on in the night. But the very first match of the night belonged to the Outrunners and the Young Bucks. This was the first match of the tag team quarterfinals between the Outrunners and the Young Bucks. The Outrunners got the full entrance, but the Bucks got a jobber entrance, and their lower third was a generic graphic. If you're watching this past the live stream, so on the standard recorded edition, I will show it here. It was hilarious. I was dying when I saw that. It had a very generic lower third graphic. It said like stat on the header, and in the middle it just said talent. It was great. But the beginning of this match was essentially a tornado tag team match. The Bucks had the heat on the Outrunners heading into the break and throughout it, so they took a lot of this match. About 10 minutes in, Turbo Floyd finally received the hot tag and went to work on both the Young Bucks. Outrunners went for their handshake and for total recall, but both of those things got blocked. Young Bucks hit a few super kicks on Turbo Floyd. Turbo came back with a double clothesline, and then they finally got their handshake in. It's just, they are super over. People love them. It's great to see a team like Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum just completely take a gimmick like the Outrunners, just absolutely run with it. We still want to see more from them, I think, but anyway, Truth got tagged back in. There was some more double teaming from the Young Bucks and a pin by Matt for near fall. Truth Magnum rolled up Matt for a 2 count, and this led to Matt Jackson arguing with referee Rick Knox. Truth was on all fours behind Matt Jackson, and then as he was arguing with Rick Knox, Knox pushed Matt over Truth. He tabletopped him. Truth got another near fall out of that. It was a funny spot. The ref getting involved. There's a lot of referee fuckery in this whole show, and that's, I think, just a bigger problem just overall when it comes to wrestling. But a lot of refs either being stupid or security being stupid, but we'll get into those moments. This was another just random moment of a ref just inserting themselves into the match. But, you know, he got pushed first. It makes sense. It's fine. Whatever. After that near fall, the Outrunners hit total recall on Matt for a 2 count. Turbo Floyd then got in, and then the Bucks hit the TK driver for the win. And they will face the winners of the Gates of Agony and Brody King and Bandito. And that match will happen tomorrow night on Collision. I thought the story would have been more fun if the Young Bucks lost this match. It seems like they're just continuously getting humbled after losing at All In, and I think this would have been a terrific cherry on top of their continued downfall. So them winning here, that was kind of I think a letdown. I think the story would have been better for the Young Bucks if they had lost this match, but there's going to be time for them to continue to tell the story of their downfall. After the match, Okada's music hit, and then all 3 members of the Elite started attacking the Outrunners until Swerve Strickland came out. Okada got distracted by Swerve coming out, and the Outrunners tossed the Bucks out of the ring. This led to all the babyfaces teaming up on Okada. Swerve went for the house call, but the Bucks pulled Okada out of the ring. Swerve then dropped a Swerve Stomp off of the turnbuckle onto the floor on all 3 of them on the outside of the ring, and the baby faces stood tall to end that segment. Backstage, Renee was with Mark Briscoe. Immediately, Ricochet and the Gates of Agony interrupted before he could answer Renee's question about MJF. Ricochet told him to worry about him tonight, not MJF. Briscoe warned Ricochet that he was going to whoop his ass. And then Ricochet called Briscoe a loser. Great comeback, Rico. Great comeback. After that, we had a backstage segment with MJF as well. And this was our only Hurt Syndicate storyline throughout the show. MJF talked to Shelton, and MJF apologized for Bobby's actions last week. So MJF was apologizing for what Bobby did. Shelton told him that MVP wasn't there that night, wasn't here tonight. He asked MJF if he knew what time it was. And then Shelton said, oh, wait. He pulled out MJF's watch that he gave him, and he called it a Temu watch. He said he's seen a lot of expensive watches in his lifetime. He knows when he spots a fake. Shelton said the only reason MJF didn't get beaten down at any point during the build of him joining the Hurt Syndicate was because MVP stood up for him. Shelton then gave MJF the thumbs down and said MJF is out of the Hurt Syndicate. I will hold my entire thoughts until we get the MVP side of the story, because I'm sure we're going to have, I would assume we'll have more of this story than just another thumbs down from MVP and we're done. It seemed like there's a lot of buildup for the Hurt Syndicate bringing in MJF, so to have him just get booted out just as quickly, I don't know. What do you think? It just seems like it's too quick. After that, again, more segments here instead of matches. A lot of segments in this show, which isn't too bad. Sometimes AEW does need that, where it breaks up some of the wrestling. They do need to continue to build their characters and build their stories, and that's perfectly fine. This one involved Christian Cage and his return, his first appearance, I do believe, since All In. Tony recapped what happened at All In and asked for Christian's reaction to Copeland telling him to go find himself. Christian said, I'm Christian Cage and I'm an asshole. Taz said that was a shoot. Funny moment there. Tony gave Christian the mic, but Christian Cage told Tony that he can hold the microphone because it is his job. So Christian starting to turn babyface, but still being, as he said, an asshole. Censors went in and out for when Christian actually said the word asshole. The first time I think they bleeped him out. The second time they didn't. Third time they bleeped him out again. The crowd didn't get cut off when they were saying it. But anyway, Christian said he's an asshole that is numb to the world and everyone in it. Christian said he walked into Revolution ready to fulfill his destiny to become AEW champion. He said after the spear at Revolution, he saw a glimpse of his past. Of course, he's referring to Adam Copeland, who was in that match trying to beat Jon Moxley for the title at the time. He said he became an asshole with feelings after that moment at Revolution. Christian said he didn't realize that Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne's balls had finally dropped and said they didn't earn the right to question him. He said when it comes to this business, he has spent more on rental cars than Kip and Nick have made their entire career combined. Christian said he didn't think the patriarchy were competent enough. He said they were riding his coattails, but he said there's probably a line of people waiting to maim Christian for the stuff he has done in his past. After that, Christian Cage addressed Adam Copeland directly, recalled all the bad things he said to Cope. Christian said they were things that he said, were they all that bad? Christian recalled the bad things Copeland has done in his career to get ahead. And during this time, Christian stumbled over his words, much like I just did, for what was probably the third time in this segment. I didn't note it at all before this moment. He kind of like stuttered or maybe forgot what he was going to say, and then he just cut himself off and yelled at the crowd saying he's conducting business. And it's a pretty clever way of coming back from that. And after the third time, though, it started, I would imagine more people started picking up on it, and they're probably thinking, come on, man, stop screwing up here. Anyway, Christian recalled Adam telling him to go find himself, and then Christian said maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. Christian said that they are so different, but they are the same. Shivani then asked what was going on with the patriarchy. Christian said that they embarrassed him, and then he ran down Shayna Wayne. Christian justified what he did to them due to scars from his past, where he accused the Kip Sabian and Nick Wayne of doing it out of entitlement, handed to them by Christian Cage. Christian asked Nick how he's going to defend himself when he has to fight, and he said he always answers the bell for things he said. Christian did address all three individually by name, but especially Nick. Christian said he admits Nick has more talent than him and that he cared about and protected him. Said that Nick is going to have to go through Christian if he wants to become the face of AEW. Christian said Nick already has a dead father, but now he has a father that's dead to him, and Christian said he disowns Nick and Kip. This led to Christian leaving the ring and walking back up the entrance where Shane and Wayne met him up there. Shane went to slap Christian, but he blocked it. And then before Christian could do anything else, Nick and Kip surrounded him. And then Nick hit him with the belt. They both got chairs, and they gave Christian a standing concerto. Nick yelled at Christian and that he disowns him as the crowd started chanting, "Fuck you" to Nick Wayne. They're certainly going to take their time building up the reunion of Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, and I think it's going to eventually work. Christian being the babyface in this whole scenario, I think if you really, really think about it, makes no sense considering, as he noted, that he was an absolute asshole, but he justified his actions as a way to build them up and continue to push them, but it doesn't really matter what the explanation was. People are going to buy when those two do officially reunite, hug, tag team, and I would imagine eventually going over, say, an FTR for the tag team titles, which I think is where we'll eventually head to. In regards to that concerto spot, I mean, that could have gone horribly wrong. Fortunately, everyone's professionals. They did just fine with it. It just had to be loud as hell when you're Christian, just getting two chairs slapped in front of your head like that. I hope he's wearing earplugs during that, because that had to hurt. His Apple Watch probably would have told him, "Hey, you need to get out of that very high decibel zone," which the Aragon Ballroom is known for. Backstage, another segment. Stokely was bragging about FTR's win the week before. Stokely bragged about Copeland being banned from the building tonight, which is why Adam Copeland was not there, or at least on TV. And he said that he hoped he's there tomorrow at Collision. I wouldn't really hold my... Well, FTR is wrestling tomorrow, so maybe. He addressed the Hurt Syndicate and then put down the Bang Bang Gang. The Bucks showed up, and Cash said they are happy to see the Bucks get their groove back, and Dax said they hope to see them in the finals. So we got the Young Bucks and FTR on friendly terms now, considering they're both heels. Next was the AEW World Championship match between Adam Page and Jon Moxley. Like I said, this was a lot earlier than I was anticipating, and this puts me on guard usually for a main event segment to do something highly interesting. We'll get to the main event segment, obviously. I still think putting the world title match as the main event is usually the better move, just for the sake of the gravitas of the World Championship. But anyway, after the entrances, we were noted that everyone was banned from ringside for this match. More on that stupid idea later. Everyone was banned from ringside. So there's a bunch of security guards out there as they showed them all waiting. Hanger got the early advantage, though, throwing a bunch of forearms. Eventually got a chokehold on Jon Moxley while he was sitting on the turnbuckle trying to hang Moxley again. So it was a cool visual, and it was a nice callback, obviously, to the two matches they already had, in which Hangman pretty much hung Jon Moxley over the ropes. And it was just kind of like a false finish coming up where Hangman got him hanging again and was going to get the quick, easy win, but that didn't work out for him. Moxley cut him off, took over the match for a little bit. Hangman missed the springboard lariat, but Hangman took him back out on the next try. Page then hit the pop-up powerbomb for a near fall, and this led to Moxley going ringside. Played possum out there. He eye-poked Hangman and threw him into the steps. Mox then hit a pile driver on the steps going into the break. As they were back from break, Moxley had Hangman in a series of submissions and then set him up for the kicks to the chest that Danielson does. Page started hulking up. He didn't literally hulk up, but he was just shaking off the hits that Moxley was delivering to him. After that, he caught Mox's leg and then started exchanging forearms with Mox. There was a back suplex from Hangman, then a lariat that led to a double down. Adam Page then went for the buckshot lariat, but Mox saw it coming and drop kicked the absolute piss out of him into the announcer's table. Mox started clearing the table, and he was going to go for a pile driver, but Hangman reversed that into the Deadeye, and somehow the table didn't break. And these tables are just getting really, really strong. And the way Hangman was laying there, I would be scared. I know I was just kind of like, I was on guard. I was like, man, if that thing breaks, his neck is like draped over the edge of the table. That would hurt like hell. Fortunately, it didn't break. It stayed up. After they got back in the ring, Hangman hit another lariat for a near fall. Hangman went for the springboard moonsault off the second turnbuckle. Moxley caught him, and then Hangman reversed it into a tombstone, and he damn near broke Jon Moxley's neck on this one. And it was scary close. When you look at this replay, or hopefully I have a picture up here for this exact moment, as he dropped into his knees, if his head didn't touch the mat, Moxley's head didn't touch the mat, it had to be like about a centimeter away. He was damn near. That was pretty close. Everyone got lucky there. It seems that Moxley's okay. Of course, they went about another 15 minutes after this. Eventually, Mox got him into the Bulldog choke in the middle of the ring. Hangman then transitioned that into the label lock, and then Mox broke it up after he reached the ropes. Hangman went for the Deadeye in the apron. Mox reversed that into another pile driver. Back in the ring, Mox hit the Gotch-style pile driver for a near fall. He attempted the paradigm shift. Hangman got out of that, and then they started going to the hockey fight where they just both started throwing punches wildly. Hangman got Mox outside, did his moonsault to the outside, and personally, I would like to see Hangman not do that anymore. And yeah, I know it's a great spot of his that he does in every single match, but it just seems like a moonsault to the outside of the ring where you're standing just seems like a recipe for a blown knee at some point. And as he gets older, his knees are just going to continue to, degrade just like anyone else's knees. So I would personally like to see him stop doing it. Just don't do it, man. That's my unsolicited advice from a non-wrestler. Okay. Anyway, Hangman went for another buckshot lariat. Mox transitioned out of that, and Hangman went for the Deadeye. When he had Mox up, he spun around, and Mox's leg kicked the ref down. And this led to probably my biggest complaint of the show. Yuta Wheeler and Claudio Castagnoli showed up ringside. Security cut them off. Marina snuck in at the timekeeper's table, threw the belt to Mox. Mox hit him with the belt. And then Paul Turner was coming to around this time. He counted the pin for just a 2. Paul Turner then noticed Marina Shafir before the security apparently did, and he tossed her. And the issue here is they showed at the beginning of the match there was multiple security guards, and there's no reason that no one saw Marina Shafir come in. Not only that, I know you're going to say, well, they were preoccupied with Yuta and Claudio. If everyone was banned from ringside, if they made the effort to show all these security guards, they need to make sure they have enough that they can have people handle 2 people and you still have more to worry about anyone else. And it made the security look stupid, made the whole idea of the stipulation look stupid. And when Paul Turner's the one to kick Marina Shafir out, she was ringside, like she was there the whole time for a good 30 to 60 seconds, and security didn't kick her out. It had to be Paul Turner to do it. That should have been an automatic DQ. That's just, if you're going to do the spot of having the Death Riders involved like they were, why even have the security? Why even have this whole ban from ringside deal? It just made the whole stipulation just mean absolutely shit. And I hated that part of it. And like I said, it's probably my least favorite part of this show. As the Death Riders were being escorted out by security, and this was in the crowd, Darby was just hanging out on the balcony. And he came flying out of nowhere from the balcony, took them all out. Back in the ring, Hangman hit the buckshot, was going to go for the Deadeye. Mox reversed that into a choke, and he was going to go for another pile driver. Hangman reversed that into a Deadeye, hit another buckshot, and then got the pin clean in the middle. As for the match itself, that was a good match. I mean, it's Moxley and Hangman. They're not going to have a bad match. In terms of their 2 Texas Death matches, this one, I would not rank this above those at all. This was just a serviceable, good TV main event, even though it wasn't the main event. And we have now moved on from Hangman and Moxley. So what Moxley does next without the belt, very interested to find that out. I think Moxley needs some time away, though. It'll be good for just the character to have, time off the screen, let the focus be on other people, let the focus be on different heels in the meantime, and we'll go from there. As I already mentioned, the whole security spot that we had throughout this match, absolutely hated it. It should just not have been a stipulation. They should have just went with a normal match and just had the ref bump, Marina Shafir throw on the belt, and you would have been able to do the same exact thing. You could have had I don't know. Just pick two baby faces, come out and chase off Claudio and them, and then you have Darby jump off. Easy. Could have done that too. After that, it was Toni Windsor. Toni Storm and Alex Windsor against Billie Starks and Athena. Toni and Alex had a fun double team attack on Billie. They were like dancing and they went towards the corner and they both delivered a big boot to Billie. It was pretty cool. That led into a double clothesline onto Athena. Athena and Billie returned the favor with probably one of my favorite spots of the entire night, and this was a catapult that chumped Alex Windsor into a spine buster. So that was an awesome spot. And for those that are watching this on delay, I'll have the clip of that here as well. Really, really cool spot. I don't think I've seen that before. And if they've been doing Ring of Honor, that's why I haven't seen it. Out of the break, Athena and Billie were in control. I saw someone online call Billie Starks a white meat villain. Usually you hear that term for a babyface. It's just kind of like a good, oh shucks, I'm just a good guy and I'm just a good guy, do everything right and stuff like that. They're pretty much saying that about Billie Starks as a villain and that she's the most innocent heel of all time. And yeah, I think there's merit to that. I like that. After that, Windsor kept getting cut off for the tag to Toni. Windsor hit a couple lariats, went for the cover. Billie Starks dropped a swanton on her. Windsor made the hot tag to Toni finally, and Athena did the same to Billie. Toni hit the hip attack in the corner, and off camera, Athena tagged in, and the announcers had to make that note to us. We had no idea, because I had to go back, because they mentioned, like, I think Athena tagged in. I'm like, when the hell did that happen? I just black out or something? But I went back, rewatched it, and you can't see it. The announcers had to tell you that happened. And there's a lot of these little missteps when it comes from like a directing point of view on the camera side of things. I don't know if they wanted you not to see it. The announcers made the point to say it. So it would have probably made, I don't know. What do you think? That's just, to me, I think you need to have that be a visible thing so you can understand. Because say you're not listening, say you have the volume turned down, or maybe you can't hear it all. And you're wondering, when the hell did Athena tag in? And I was watching this whole time. Athena didn't tag in. You had to have the announcers tell you. And that, I don't like that. Anyway, as Toni was distracted with Billie, and she had no idea Athena tagged in, Athena hit the O-face off the top rope and pinned Toni. So we got Athena with a win over Toni Storm. A rare loss for Toni. I believe her last loss was in that fatal 4-way eliminator match a little bit before All In when Mina Shirakawa pinned her, if I remember correctly. And then her last loss before that, I couldn't tell you. Have to look at Cage Match. Anyway, backstage, we are back with Renee Paquette. She asked Hangman for his thoughts after his title defense against her husband. MJF interrupted him before he could answer. MJF called Hangman a coward for not giving MJF a title shot. MJF said he misses a fighting champion like Swerve. I don't know if MJF watches the show or not, but it seems like Hangman at least has somewhat of a respect for Swerve after All In and the Dynamite promo after All In. Hangman said there's a line of people in front of MJF and said that Mark Briscoe is ahead of him in that line. Hangman said MJF needs to beat Briscoe before he gets a shot. And Hangman said he's not just going to give him a title shot. He's not going to be goaded into a title shot, especially when he has the contract. He's going to have to earn it if he wants a title shot before he cashes in. Hangman threatened MJF as he walked away. After this, Willow Nightingale was backstage with Alicia Atout. Alicia was backstage asking Willow about Tekla. Willow said she spoke to Tony Khan and they will have a match tomorrow on Collision. And then after that was the main event. It was time for Ricochet against Mark Briscoe. A bunch of back and forth with Mark Briscoe maintaining most of the match. Gates of Agony eventually showed up ringside and stood on the apron. Again, this was just more of, I don't know why we don't have refs tossing people out who are clearly getting involved there on the apron a lot of the time. They were even halfway into the ring at another point. We'll get there, but it's just, and it's not an AEW problem. This is a WWE problem too, and I'm sure it's other company problems. It's just refs are either made to look stupid or made to look like they have no autonomy to do something about it, and just this show had a lot of kind of weird things like this happen when it comes to the ref, as I already mentioned, and this was just another one on top of it. Back to the match itself. Briscoe got knocked out of the ring. Ricochet dropped him with a tope to the outside. After we came back from break, Ricochet grabbed a chair and was going to use it, but referee Bryce Remsburg took the chair from him before he could use it. Toa got involved when Ricochet distracted the ref, and he hit another tope over the top rope to Briscoe. Standing shooting star for a 2 count after that. Ricochet went for the spirit gun, but Briscoe went for the J-Driller, but then that was also reversed. Went back to the outside. Briscoe did his cannonball senton off the chair to the outside of the ring. Lariat for another near fall. Mark then went for the froggy bow, but the Gates of Agony got involved yet again with a ref distraction and knocked him off the turnbuckle. Again, he was clearly distracting the ref. It's not here or there. Ricochet hit Vertigo for another near fall. Gates were about to get in the ring until Brody King and Bandito finally showed up to even up the odds. Briscoe then rolled up Ricochet with an inside cradle for a near fall. Another lariat hit the J-Driller on the 4th attempt. He had it reversed on him 3 times, and he pinned Ricochet clean in the middle of the ring. After that, Mark Briscoe grabbed Mike. He said we were just getting started tonight, even though about 5 minutes later the show ended. Called out MJF for invoking Jay's name multiple times. Said, you said his name once, shame on you. You said his name again, shame on me. Mark said he's never felt like this before. He said he needs help. He was pleading, I need help. Because he's worried he will not get to see Jay up in heaven because of what he plans to do to MJF. Called MJF to come out to fight. MJF's music did indeed hit, but it did not come out. MJF appeared on the Titantron. He said, unlike Mark, he is not an idiot. He asked if Mark dropped the comedy routine because he sounded serious. MJF said that doesn't mean he has to take him seriously. He thinks Mark is a waste of his time. But MJF said he needs to prove a point because Adam Page, whom he called Seabiscuit, said he was a coward because he wouldn't face Briscoe. MJF said he spoke to another Mark, Tony Khan. And in the main event next week would be MJF versus Mark Briscoe. MJF then closed out by saying, but that's only if you make it. And out of nowhere, MJF was actually behind Briscoe and he kicked Mark in the balls. Which, you have to really suspend a lot of disbelief here because you had to assume that MJF knew that Mark Briscoe was going to grab the mic, was going to sound serious, not make any jokes, and at the same time, literally be right behind him. So he pre-recorded this speech to Briscoe so he could sneak attack him. But he already knew what he was going to say. So you really have to, if you think about it, it makes no sense. It still worked out as a nice little surprise. I was wondering who was going to be behind him, and it turned out to be MJF. How about it? So maybe MJF got lucky and he knew what was going to happen, and he's a clairvoyant. Maybe he can tell the future. Yeah, that's how it works. Anyway, MJF was beating the shit out of Briscoe, took out the Dynamite Diamond Ring, and that's when Hangman Page came out. Page was going to go for the buckshot lariat, and as he spun around, Mark went for a J-Driller, and then MJF escaped that as well, and he sprinted up the ramp, and that's how the show ended with the crowd chanting coward at MJF. And poor Mark Briscoe having the J-Driller reverse on him 4 times tonight. It just seems like it's not a very solid move for him. Just people, either they see it coming or they know how to get out of it very easily, but it is what it is. So that was Dynamite. See if I can remember the matches we got for tomorrow on Collision. We got FTR against whoever won the first. I don't remember who FTR is facing. Let's look it up. Yeah, Bang Banging. There we go. I got the lineup here now. So we got Dustin Rhodes and Kyle Fletcher for the TNT title in a street fight. We got FTR and the Bang Bang Gang in the semifinals of the Tag Team Eliminator. And then we got Gates of Agony and Bro Dito in the other semifinal, or that's a quarterfinal match. So they're still trying to get in the semifinals. So FTR and Bang Bang Gang, they'll find out who will be on the left side of the brackets championship. And then, of course, we still got a few more matches left on the right side. As noted already, Willow Nightingale is going to be taking on Tekla, and then Chris Statlander will be in action. There's only like a couple tickets left in Ticketmaster. It's about to be a complete sellout for Collision tomorrow. So good on them for that. It was a pretty good, nice little residence here in Chicago. I didn't get a chance to go to any of them, which kind of sucks. I just, at this point, I'm not too interested in going to TVs just because you have your commercial breaks and it's just a limited amount of time. You're there for 2 hours, maybe a little bit more if you want to watch Ring of Honor or whatever dark matches they show up with. It's just, I'd prefer to be there and spend the money on a pay-per-view, which fortunately for us here in the Chicagoland area, we're getting World's End. And I know people hate that they come to Chicago all the damn time, but selfishly, I love it. And watching the Aragon Ballroom on TV for wrestling is pretty cool. So if there happens to be like a $20 ticket, randomly show up tomorrow, maybe I'll skip out early from work and go. But it's just a hassle to get the Aragon Ballroom on a work night. So that's why I haven't focused too much on trying to get there. Anyway, that was Dynamite. I do thank you for joining us here. If you watch this live, thank you very much. But again, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the like button. That is the easiest way for other people to find this content just like you did. And of course, if you do enjoy what we do here, hit the subscribe button because that's how you're going to stay up to date with notifications on brand new content right here on this channel. Again, I want to thank you for hanging out with us. Pardon the wrestling, but I'm Bryan. We'll catch you next time.